Did you know for the price of a latte, you can get 1 month access to our epic private group chat? Just think, you can have instant connection to other POCFs for 30 days or more anytime you need us. Once you sign up, you have instant access to a diverse group of partners to connect and hear how they overcome their challenges in the industry. Learn how to expand and grow your direct-to-consumer fishing businesses. You get on-demand group support for yourself anytime you need it. You can learn about what's happening outside of your fishing bubble and bond over relatable ways to weather through the hard times. You can learn more about what's happening in fishing communities outside the U.S. and in the U.S. if you're international like some of our members. You can learn from other partners on how to get more involved in your fishery. You'll have a group of peers who are willing to explain terms and other things you might not understand. You have a place to bounce ideas off of. A place to relate to this unique lifestyle, empathize with others, and celebrate the wins. A place to listen and learn and be able to ask questions. A place of genuine kindness, positivity, and friendship. As one member in our private chat said, connecting with others in this lifestyle is not only valuable to me, but it also gives me a feeling of worth in being able to share my experiences and help others. We'd love to have you join. Go to POCFpride.com and select the menu option Sign Up to get instant access today. We can't wait to meet you. Welcome back, Partners of Commercial Fishermen. And if you're new here, welcome. I'm Megan Waldrop, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, and we're thrilled to have you here spending time with us in our beautiful community in this new spanking brand new year, 2025. The 2025 is our oyster. Grab it by the oysters. I don't even know if that's a saying, but we're saying it anyway. I feel like it works. How much you think? Anyway, the theme for January is mental wellness. And one of my favorite ways to have that mental wellness support in my life is connecting with other partners of commercial fishermen to see what they're up to and to know that I'm not alone out there, no matter what I'm going through, whether my fisherman's at home, whether he's 2,000 miles away in California like he is right now while I'm in North Carolina. It's so cool and such a visceral experience to be able to just pop in to a chat and start talking with other women who totally get our life, and you don't have to explain yourself to anybody. It's just like you instantly bond. We have that tie that binds, and it's the love for our fishermen and our fishing communities and wild caught seafood. That is why today is such a fun episode. I get to introduce you to Ashely Veliss, who is the wife of a commercial fisherman and owner of Ashely Seafood out of Humboldt Bay in Eureka, California. And I'm going to get into what we talk about in this episode, but what I love about Ashely is that we connected in our private group chat. And the best part about that is that Ashely belongs to a Fisherman's Wives group in Eureka or in Humboldt Bay. Humboldt Fisherman's Wives, but she joined the POCF private chat to connect with partners in other ports to see what they struggle with or what maybe they don't struggle with, and to learn how they overcome challenges in their industry. And that's such a cool aspect of our private chat. Not only is it somebody who totally gets us, but we can learn from one another. Ashely runs a direct-to-consumer seafood business, and it's really nice to be able to have that resource out there. There's other people. Whoops, my timer just went off because I have salmon in the oven and I'm just going to keep on talking. I think that's a very POCF thing to do, right? Is to have salmon in the oven and it goes off during your intro. I'm keeping it in. Anyway, yes, we met in the private group chat, and it's really interesting to see how involved different fishing partners are. I mean, it's so freaking inspiring and encouraging, and it's just like, hell yeah, girls, let's do this. In this episode, we learned how Ashely went from learning how to fillet a fish on YouTube, I love this story, to starting her direct-to-consumer fishing business called Ashely Seafood. And we learn how she's now, from learning on this YouTube, now they're learning how to create shelf-sustaining seafood. And she's also become a pillar in her community for advocacy. She's able to connect with customers, even tough conversations with customers, by steering conversations towards focusing on food systems, strengthening our industry's social capital, and improving our connection to our full network of food systems to help customers understand what it means to be a sustainable fishery and buy wild-caught seafood. And she has a great example that we can all learn from on these tough conversations with customers, and how she's able to compose herself, really, and to have dialogue and to also learn from other customers so the message can evolve and be tweaked and used for future interactions that can be more supportive to everybody involved. So we're all enjoying wild-caught seafood. And if you don't know, now you know that if you're buying U.S. wild-caught seafood, you are buying sustainable seafood. That's just how it is. We're so highly regulated that our fisheries are sustainable. So bottom line, that's there. But Ashely delivers her information probably in a lot sweeter, softer way than I just did. I'm talking to y'all, so I feel like we can just get real. But Ashely does all of this while supporting other fishermen and fishing families, all while being a partner of a commercial fisherman herself. And she's a mom on top of that. It's just really amazing. So welcome to our first Partners of Commercial Fishermen interview with somebody in our community. And if you want to connect with me and Ashely, can join our private group chat. We would love to have you in there. I'll link it in the show notes. Hope y'all enjoy. I'm Megan Waldrop, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, an extension of an online community for partners to connect and feel less alone. Our podcast invites fishermen, family, friends, and supporters of the industry to learn, laugh, vent, and hear stories about this incredibly unique way of life. What do you say? Let's dive in. Ashely Veliss, one of our beloved members of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen community, and also one of the women that I've gotten to more intimately know in our private chat, which has been such a treat. I thank you so much for being here on the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast. I so appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me.
Yay. Okay. So let's just start at the beginning. You know, we're all joined by this incredible, unique experience of being a partner of a commercial fisherman, and we're located all over the world. So I want to know, where in the world are you right now? And is that your hometown? Is that where you're from?
Yeah. So I'm from Humboldt County, California. So Eureka is our port, and I'm born and raised. Both my husband and I are both born and raised here.
Oh, I love that. So how did you meet your fishermen if you're both from the small town?
We met in grade school, 6th and 7th grade. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's adorable.
Yeah.
Is he from a fishing family, or how did he get started? Okay, so what made him get into it?
Actually, our 8th grade teacher gave him a recommendation to a friend of his that was a commercial crabber out of Trinidad, Craig Goucher, and on the second wind. And he started, I think it was 2013 was his first year as a deckhand, and he did that for a few years. We took a break in fishing, and then he decided he wanted to own his own boat. So,
and so it began.
Yeah, and so our journey kind of began from there. So,
oh wow, that's so neat. And you know, one of my favorite things is when you hopped into our chat for the first time, it was the name swapping game between all of us in there, and there were several connections that we all had of fishermen that we knew. And I bet somebody just went, "Oh, I know that guy the fisherman that you just mentioned too."
Yeah, I'm sure he's a pretty great guy and well known out of Trinidad. So,
oh, I love it. I love it. So, 2013, y'all are married or dating, or what is your?
Yeah, we weren't married yet. So
okay, so yeah, and so y'all weren't married, and then he got a boat. And you're like, okay, let's do this. What kind of boat does he have?
We have a 50-foot trawler. It is the Aguero. Pretty well-known boat from what I gather from Californians.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Someone in our chat knew the person who sold the boat, and I think her husband was actually a deckhand on that boat back in the day. Like, it's just amazing.
Yeah. We purchased it from a gentleman named Jeremiah O'Brien, and then he got it from oh gosh, I can't believe I'm blanking on this name. Fred Sears. So it's been 20 years between each person, so we're hoping to have it for the next 20 years.
I love it. And you know, I love that you said your boat. It's y'all's boat. It's our boat. I always, for my personal experience, I'm always like, well, Chris's boat, but then I realize, no, this is our child in its
Yeah.
own way. Why am I just like segregating this to my husband? But yeah, it is your boat. And so when he got into fishing, and I was also, when I first started dating my husband, I had no idea what the heck I was getting into in that aspect. What, like, did you have any commercial fishing experience in Eureka? Did you have any kind of awareness around the industry?
No, me personally, no. Other than just him deckhanding in Trinidad,
Mhm.
no, we just dove right in.
Yeah.
I was just really supportive of whatever he wanted to do. Because yeah, I guess that's just, I don't know, it's just the way we are, I guess.
Yeah, that's lovely.
I mean, I've known him we just talked about it this morning, 24 years now. So, we've just been super supportive of each other, I guess. So he said he
Oh,
wanted to go back into fishing. I'm like, all right, let's go shopping.
let's do this. That's
Yeah.
love. That is legit partnership.
Yeah.
So, okay, so then you guys dove into that and then you created Ashely Seafood, which people will be able to connect with you on Instagram. It's at Ashely Seafood, ASHLEYS Seafood, Ashley's Seafood, and then
Yes.
ashleyseafood.com.
Yeah.
So what made you, start your own fish business, if you will?
So we purchased our boat in December of 2018, and it was the beginning of a whale entanglement lawsuit. My husband has only ever crabbed before and didn't really know. We were just kind of figuring out the how to operate our own boat. And then to pile on like it was a late start and an early closure, and we had just bought a very expensive boat. And so my husband was like, you're gonna have to work. You're gonna have to go back to work. And at the time we had a almost 2, 3 year old. Um, and I was like, well, I don't know what to do. We've only ever just done things together. And he said, just go sell our fish, start selling our fish. I've never known how to do that. I didn't know what to do. So we watched some YouTube videos of how to cut fish. So I graduated from University of YouTube. Um, uh, and having him help me a lot along the way too. We started cutting fish and selling live crab at farmers markets. We do the Arcata Farmers Market every Saturday for the most part. And doing weekday markets, and that's kind of how Ashely Seafood started, out of pure stress and chaos. But it's been really rewarding
Yeah.
and really fun.
Oh, that's so cool. And it's also a huge tradition within being a partner of a commercial fisherman since the dawn of selling seafood is the partner stepping up and actually doing that selling. So you're a part
Mhm.
of this like modern way of being a partner and then also honoring this tradition, which I know many in our community also do that. And it's always interesting to see how people are able to make these seafood businesses come to life. I would love for you to walk us through your first time selling seafood and maybe what it's like now for you. Like what were your feelings around it, the first market you ever did, and then how do you feel today when you do it?
So to kind of explain, so it was my 30th birthday. And it was whenever I learned how to cut a sable fish, and it was the only fish that I really cut that day, and I cried the whole time. I was like, no, this is not what and it was just a really stressful time. So then following the next day, we went to the farmer's market, and I was selling these like awfully awful looking fillets, and I was like trying to decredit my effort by saying, yeah, it's not the best cut. Here you go. Just pay what you think it's worth, and people were so supportive. And it was kind of like our community was what kept me coming back. I'm so fortunate. We have such an amazing community around our farmers market. So it was both like the members of the association and the community around us. They just kept me wanting to come back. It was a pretty emotional first day. I think I like got so excited. I think I sold like maybe like 10 pounds of fillet. Because nobody has ever bought fish at farmers market before, so it wasn't really something that they were expecting. But the community really made me feel special, and they paid every penny for the fish that they were really thankful for. So
My gosh. So y'all were the first fishmongers in the market.
I think there was like a time like 10 years prior that somebody had come and done fish. And then there is a family that comes down from Alaska and typically do like vacuum sealed fillets. They live in McKinleyville, in the area here. And so they've done it, but raw, fresh caught, brought to market. It was like the first time in like almost 10 plus years. So a lot of the customers didn't remember it. So it felt like I
Wow.
was the first.
Yeah, no, totally. Yeah, the fresh fish is different for sure. So, okay, so then today, what's it like when you go to the market today? Are you just like flick of the wrist, like, here we go, bada bing, here's our fish? And how's the
Yeah.
customer
So
base been? How is that?
customer base is great. We've actually kind of pivoted our business. So we're trying to get more into like product development. So so we can make a bunch of things at once and then go through it as needed, and trying to put products in stores. So usually we go now with our smoked fish and it's vacuum sealed. It's all smoked locally, or our canned product. And so we're trying to make it easier for customers to be more acquainted with products that they wouldn't normally buy raw, but to show them that they can enjoy them in different ways. So it encourages them to buy raw, and so they're more familiarized with the product. So sable fish is one of our favorite examples. It's the first one that made me cry, I guess. But I'm like determined to make it my ultimate project goal. And I mean, we've convinced so many people that they really, really like it. Just prepare it differently. So we do like a smoked sable fish, or we do a marinade for it, and people love it. So we're just yeah, people wait for it. We try and post on our social media when we'll be bringing what to farmers market. And yeah, we get our albacore canned in Charleston. A lot of fishermen use that cannery. And it's been wonderful. They're super great. And it's nice to have as small of a footprint as possible. So, and also our customers appreciate their transparency. So, they can ask us any questions and we know who caught it, when, what, the day was like. So we like to explain the story behind your seafood too. A lot of scary stuff happens out on the water, and we want to make sure our customers know that maybe potential hazards that could have happened or almost happened with the story of their seafood. So it's kind of telling a tale, a fishy tale.
I love the fact that you're able to share the intimate stories with your customers, because that really does make them feel more connected to y'all and to the food that they eat. Like, know your fishermen, know your food, know what your fishermen went through to get your food. I mean, that is one of the powers that we have as partners of commercial fishermen, no matter where we live, is that we have our personal experiences that we can connect with others, whoever we talk to, who are not in the industry, and they're like, oh wait, yeah, I will pay more premium for this type of fish. I'll go out of my way and go to this farmer's market to get this quality seafood because I know where it comes from. I know the energy and the love that was put into bringing it to my table. I freaking love that. And I also love the fact that you went from crying over a sable fish to going, what the heck is going on, to now going, oh, well, we're going to can and we're going to make these new products and have this new product development line, pivot our business to actually broaden this entire fish market that we are doing ourselves. And I'm wondering, made you go into that direction? What were customers asking about it? Was this something that you were like, I'm ready for a new challenge, and I want to be able to have more of a shelf-sustaining product? What was that for y'all?
I think it was the fact that we have a lot of volume. And so we're trying to figure out ways that we can move the volume, because it's not so much the supply, it's the demand for it. So the hope is that we create a demand for the supply that we're able to do. So in California, we've lost our commercial salmon season. This is the second season now. And a lot of people have pivoted towards sablefish, and so for catch, but then the market is dropping for it. So there's not the demand for it, and especially in its raw form. Um, and I think that it's becoming increasingly popular, but we want to make sure that we're able to catch and move and also be able to support other fishermen. So if my husband is catching his quota, then we want to be able to see how we can help other people's and or other fishermen and help their families. One of the things that really impacts me is that when we did start our seafood business, it was really, really hard financially. We didn't know how to catch fish. My husband was very new to all of that. He was only on a crab boat. So having him learn how to catch fish and try and figure out how to find a market to sell it was really hard. And uh I want to make sure that we're able to offer that to other families. So a fair price and having a good product, and yeah, so volume, because we want to move volume and we want to help our local economy.
Oh, I love that. It's so beautiful. It's so beautiful how y'all are able to do that. And so how do you connect with your customers currently?
So a lot of it is me going out to events. We've done in the past crab feeds. We do tastings, we do farmers markets. I'm super involved with our local chambers. So we do chamber events. And I go talk at our local schools. So we've done a couple of tours with both our community college, College of the Redwoods, and Cal Poly Humboldt. We've talked to fisheries groups, and honestly, whatever anybody invites me to, we try to attend, because we really want people to know what we're working on, not just for Ashely Seafood, but within our industry and all of the things that are ever evolving within that space. So.
Wow, I love it. You are out there networking, talking. I love it, love it, love it. And that is, yeah, that's the way. And I love how hyper local y'all are. I mean, this is the way to, it seems, the way to make this sustainable, in the sense of, we are your fish people. We're the people where you get your seafood from. And we are here to support, like you said, our other commercial fishermen and their families in the community. That's just so lovely. I love that. And so tell us about your cold storage and how are you able to get that going? That feels like such a massive task to be able to like figure that out. How were y'all able to do it?
So currently we, as like our small business, we have a small cold storage area that we lease from, it's a city project, called Food Works. It's a commissary kitchen. It's kind of program, but, we each individually rent sections of cold storage and kitchen space. But what we're working on, and it's a collaborative effort with our local North Coast Growers Association, and our Food Policy Council, and we've gotten Cal Poly students involved in it. And really trying to send it home with like a lot of nonprofit organizations that we have here that do grants and loans and just economy projects. is to develop a regional cold storage facility for all of our ag producers, our fishermen, local businesses, and emergency food response. In which that hits home. We're a super rural area. We are 6 hours north of San Francisco and about 2 hours south of the Oregon border. So, or yeah, it depends on who's driving. So we're really rural and we're surrounded by the redwood curtain here. So in the case of an emergency, we have 3 roads that leave out of here, 3 main roads, north 101, south 101, and 299. So oftentimes, we have mudslides, we have last chance grade that's like caving off before Crescent City. And we get a lot of fires around the 299 area. And so we need to be able to protect our community and have like emergency cold storage response for food. And another thing I like to point out is when the roads are closed, likely we're still able to go fishing. So we are weather dependent, and just because there's a fire happening or a mudslide doesn't necessarily mean we can't go grab food. So having the ability to have a cold storage is really important. We worked with some really fun and amazing students at Cal Poly that helped put revised and a feasibility study that was done almost 10 years ago, really talking about what microgrid cold storage would do and the need. And it really has been a huge supporter in showing what not only a community cold storage operated by a nonprofit would provide for our community, but having that microgrid system put in would cut the cost of the power in half, or actually more than half. So I don't know if I'm going off in the left field here. It's still an active project that we're working on to advocate for, and I think we're making good traction on it. But cold storage is a national issue, and a lot of cold storage is privately owned. And so what happens when somebody doesn't want to do it anymore and they decide to shut down, and how many people does that impact? It impacts local businesses, farmers, dairy, people, and fishers. So you're really impacting your food economy. So yeah, so there's a lot, we really just try and focus on food security, and making sure that we're able to provide for our community and beyond. So
Wow. Okay, you talk micro, my brain is like macro explosion right now. I'm just thinking of all the perspective. I mean, you're so right. The way that you're able to go out and fish and still collect food, even if there is a natural disaster going on, you're still able to provide for your community nutrition, premier protein, to anyone who might need it. That's beautiful. Okay, I would love for you to explain a few things to me, because this is what I would ask Chris. What do you mean by, my husband Chris, like, what do you mean by microgrid? What does that mean exactly? Is that like a solar situation? Is this like a whole separate energy bank that's just for the town? Can you explain that?
So I am not an energy specialist at all, just to be really clear. But what my vision of what microgrid is to have solar panels along the rooftop that is also attached to a battery that it's collecting energy during the day. And then there would be times where it would be able to click the battery on to run part of the units to kind of help conserve power and money. We're really high. We have really high energy rates here in Humboldt. And then hoping, based off of, what these students kind of worked with some energy specialists in the area and working with some programs, they were able to figure out that without the microgrid system, it would cost us around $160,000 in power electricity every year to run this facility. And then based off of that microgrid system, it could cut it out like $100,000 per year in energy, which is huge. especially if this is like nonprofit organized, running it, and we want it to not be such a burden on our community, and figuring out ways that we can do that. Also, we do lose our power here quite a bit. Actually, we lost power for about 3 days just through one of our last storms that we had, the cyclone or whatever they call it. But to just make sure that during a power outage, that we're able to power our cold storage. A few years ago, PG&E lost, let's see, we lost power, and through the entire community. A lot of the state did. PG&E shut the power off with short notice, and so a lot of food went to waste, which is unacceptable. We understand that sometimes things happen, but the loss of food and so this facility would prevent anything like that from happening in food spoilage.
Thank you for explaining that. Okay.
Yeah.
I love that you work with students in Cal Poly Humboldt. You're the third person I've spoken with about connecting with different universities, different local colleges, and getting students involved to see how they are able to also help our fishing communities, which is such an untouched resource. And also, they also get to learn and get credit for their work. So everybody wins in this situation. So I want to shout out to anyone who's like figuring out how to get more extra hands, extra minds, extra help. Reach out to your local educational institutions. I mean, there's people out there that are, I'm sure, willing to help in different ways that we don't even know about, and also can take that time that maybe we don't have to research and develop new ways of doing things. So on that note, when you mentioned grants, are you writing grants? Is this something that there's a collective group of people writing a grant and then having it reviewed? How does that work within your model of what you want to do with your business and with your community?
Yeah, I think it would be that I think we would be partnering with lots of different organizations to show, this is all needed. We have a huge support system within our community, and to also do probably a more in-depth feasibility study, again, another one, to kind of show what's needed. But yeah, I'll be working with writing grants. I've never personally written a large grant before, but working with our local farmers market organization, the North Coast Growers Association, and our county and city to develop a good grant written grant. So I'm learning. This is nothing that I've ever done before. So this is all kind of crash course learning for me, and getting involved. So this is all new.
I love that. I love, most people that I speak about writing grants. I've also written a couple of grants, and yeah, everybody's like, it takes a long time. It takes a lot of time. Like, that's the one thing people say, and they say we're figuring it out. So if anybody's intimidated by it, don't worry. You're not the only one, and you can do it. It's just literally moving through the motions of sitting down and writing, whether that's with other people. What have found helpful is I dedicate a certain amount of hours or time a day or a certain days a week to actually focus in on it. Otherwise, I feel scattered. Everybody else has their own creative ways of doing it. But just sharing that in case that is helpful for anybody listening. Said,
yeah,
you can do it. It will get done. It just takes literal sitting your butt in a chair and typing, and then vomit all that information out first, and then go back and edit. Like, don't try to edit while you write, because then you're just going to be stuck in a wormhole of stress.
Yeah.
Vomit those words out. You good? Okay. So you've mentioned some of the ways that you're able to run your business, and the amazing ways that you're able to support your community. And I'm wondering, what are some tools that you use that you feel that are most helpful for doing what you're doing?
The farmers market, honestly, has been the biggest way to work within our community. there's so much word of mouth. We have a rain or shine farmers market every single Saturday, and it's like a party on the plaza. It's a festival every Saturday. And so it's really been the biggest way for me to get involved with my community, because especially when we started and why we pivoted this direction, has been a lot of testing different products, seeing what people like, seeing what people don't like, and hearing what people think about our industry. How what ideas do they think, how are we catching? Is this sustainable? Well, should I buy this product because it's certified sustainable, or is it just the fishery is a sustainable fishery? And so really trying to help them navigate what they're comfortable eating, I think. And that's actually that line right there has been really impactful for us and our customers, is we want them to feel comfortable with what they're consuming. And we have a huge vegan population, and people who just aren't really sure about their seafood, and so we just explain to them, we want them to feel as educated in our industry as anybody else also, so they understand how we're catching sustainably, and having those hard conversations sometimes has actually been some of the most empowering, for us to understand too, because it helps us know where we need to be touching and educating and where we should be going, like universities, or being involved in outreach with like our other businesses and stuff like that, and nonprofits, and seeing what they need from us. So I guess that's been the biggest impact. And yeah, I think that's trying to get involved somehow locally and consistently has been the most valuable for me.
Yeah, man. Yeah. The hard conversations. That's so true, because people have ideas about commercial fishing. And it's interesting. And also it's a test of your own, and I'm speaking personally, but let me know if you've been there, but a test of your own patience and even strength within to not go through these emotions and just start getting really heated or maybe defensive, and to be able to be open and to listen. That's such an amazing skill to be able to have, and allow yourself that openness to receive, and then allow yourself to have these new ideas that come up. You're like, oh wait, no, this is how I can make this message more impactful. This is how I can make my product more impactful. Yeah, that's really great. That feels like such a huge success within itself, is to be able to calmly do that.
Yeah, I've had some pretty hard questions, and honestly, I think that they're some of my favorites, just because the in-depth discussions that we have. It's a really personal thing. Food for me is emotional, and so and when we talk about like the catch, that I always remind people, we're not talking about quota, we're talking about food. And to me, it's like, this is where everybody comes and gathers around the table, and has a meal, or break bread, or whatever. And to me, it's people should want to know where their food comes from, and feel good about their food.
I love that. It's not about quota, it's about food. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Is that your quote? I love that. Okay. So, okay, if you can think of any, and if you're open to share, no pressure, what were some hard questions that you got, or maybe a hard question that you had that kind of shook you, and then you were able to develop into these really intimate conversations?
Yeah. I think somebody there's been some hard ones. But mostly it's about how are you guys fishing sustainably? And the way that it was asked was pretty intense, and kind of caught me off guard a little bit, with the bluntness that it was asked. And basically, are you just taking what you can and what you will, like, and just ransacking the bottom of the ocean? And so we had this really great conversation of quotas and landings and record keeping and years and years and years and years and years of data collection, and how different organizations are monitoring, how a lot of this stuff is public, how there's a lot of organizations out there that are out there to protect the ocean, and they're at these meetings too, and so it's kind of it's really important for people to know that that we do have, I guess we have limits, we have quotas, everything that's being taken off a boat is documented. As somebody who lands all of our own fish, I like to bring out our paper that we do all of our documentation on, so people see, like, oh, it's by species, it's by pound, you guys are recording the price, and where exactly at in the ocean it was caught, which port it was landed in, the fisherman's name, and the boat's name. Like, it is so detailed. I think it's probably the most detailed thing I fill out every few days. And how it's submitted, and how it's monitored. And if I submit something inaccurate, that somebody is calling me on it. And, it's heavily monitored, and we should be very thankful that we live in a place that monitors it that well. And so just so people are aware of that, it's probably my biggest question. This particular person asking was probably the most significant, and it made me realize how people are so emotional about food, and we all should be. Like, it's important, it's what takes care of us, so like, and that kind of is what has really put me in this position of, like, let's calmly talk about this and figure out how we can all be on the same page.
Oh my gosh. Whew, that was so good. Okay, everyone, let's channel Ashely whenever we get asked any questions that feel triggering. And also, yeah, what an incredible way to actually go back and think, oh, wow, look how highly regulated we are. And that's what I like to say now, is everything that Ashely mentioned is such great points that I want to remember, that I can share with others. And also to say that the American wild-caught seafood, U.S. wild-caught seafood, is so incredibly regulated that it is sustainable, especially in California. They are on it. I know fishermen who have had their traps taken away, their licenses taken away if they're not doing it the right way. I mean,
Yeah.
they're on it, like you said, it's being tracked. And it's also, what a beautiful historical account to say, this is where this fish was caught by this fisherman in this area by this boat. I mean, that's just history within itself. And I know Canada is very highly regulated, the UK, Australia. I'm not sure of other countries out there. I'm sure they have their regulations as well. But something that we can lead with is love, like Ashely did, and say that since our fisheries are so highly regulated, we are sustainable, and here's why: the quotas.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the documentation that we have to put in. Here's why we can only fish this many months out of the year, or however that is. This is why we can't take female lobsters in Maine. They're not allowed to take female lobsters.
Mm-hmm.
They have to throw them back in the ocean. This is all something that we can use, not only to feel like it's a defense against others, but to feel good about what we're doing, and to realize and remember what we're actually here for, which is to bring that delicious food, and to also honor the ocean that gives us so much, not only the food, but the lifestyle and the money to be able to lead our lives in this unique, incredible way. So thank you so much for sharing that. I'm taking notes for sure.
Putting that in there. And just something I like to explain to fishermen too, or everybody, is we're all out there trying to figure out how to save the world in some way, right? To do better and to make impact, and that looks differently for a lot of people, especially people who don't understand the industry, and to just allow space for disagreement. It's okay. Like, we're not. But as long as they leave, somebody who disagrees with the industry or something, as long as they leave the conversation feeling a little bit better, or to figure out to, do some new research or something like that. That's what really is kind of a big thing too, is, we're all just trying to remember how to do better, do the best that we can before, for the future.
That's such a great reminder, because it can feel like we're trying to save the world and trying to save commercial fishing with our one conversation, and that can feel overwhelming. But you're right. It's like, we're not here to change people's minds. We're here to share from our hearts and share what we do, and that's all we can do. And hopefully that makes a difference. And if anything, it makes a difference within us that we were able to compose ourselves and express ourselves in that way that is full of love. And I really appreciate that reflection. Yes, we are all trying to save the world, but we can all just save the world within. That's what's really going to help us move forward. I love it. Love it. Okay. That's it for today, y'all. Thank you so much for listening, and tune in next week to finish our amazing conversation with POCF Ashely Veliss. And if you want to connect with Ashely or me immediately, you can pop on right now. We can chat with you right now. Join our private group chat. I'll put a link in the show notes. It's just such a fun way to be able to connect with each other in real time and get group support whenever you need it, or just if you're curious about what's going on in the other fisheries. Like, we're here. We're here to share information. We're here to connect, and we instantly bond because we are bonded through this incredible experience of being a partners of commercial fishermen. It's unlike anything anyone else has ever experienced, honestly. I think we all know that. So, love to see you in the private group chat. I'll put a link in the show notes. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Thank you so much for listening. To support our community, I'd so appreciate it if you tap the subscribe button to this podcast or write a review. And if you're a POCF who wants to connect further, go to POCFpride.com for weekly vlogs and to learn about opportunities to join our private communities. We'd love to have you.